I'll call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order for March 12th at 8:30. Roll call, please.
John Righeimer is excused. Stacy Hessel.
Here.
Mark Helwig. Tom Duffy. Jeff Haney. You have a quorum.
All right, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Certification of compliance with the open meetings laws, please.
This meeting was noticed to the media and public as required by Section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Do we have anyone for public comment? Anyone online? All right, number 8, consider approval of meeting minutes from previous meeting. Motion by Duffy, second by Haney. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion and pass. Treasurer's report.
So an interim update, we started with 104 on the interim. This year, we're down to 78. Starting here in March, actually next week, there'll be the listing of the 7 parcels acquired in 2025. We're going to start the sale of those parcels. We completed the February settlements. Sawyer County received that $7,587,937.53. That's what we received here at the county. And that was up about $250,000 from last year. Total delinquent real estate, $2,509,727.89. And then the bottom price there amount is with the interest and penalties. We just sent out over 1,600 delinquent notices from this year, the 2025 tax roll.
Is that normal?
Yeah. It was a little bit higher this year than other years. The Postal Service is a little messed up this year. We're still getting letters that are checks mailed to us that have stamps in January, first part of January. So, yeah, it was a little bit more challenging this year than past years. Any questions?
Oh, good job.
Thank you.
All right, number 10, Finance Department report.
Everybody. First report, as always, is sales tax. February distribution was $243,000. Tracking a little behind last year, but still bringing in over $200,000 a month. So setting our projections to have an increase over last year, which is a positive way to start the year. Questions? If not, we can move on to the budget performance report for 26. We're going through the end of February. If you want to scroll down a little bit, we should be about 17% revenue and expenses. Go down to the kind of middle of page 2, you'll see the revenues are at 13%. Middle of page 3, expenses at 19%, and then of course the summary below it. So revenues are a little behind, expenses are a little ahead. That's normal and customary for this time of year. In January, we pay out in full to our partner organizations, so Senior Resource Center, NAMCOG, the libraries, et cetera, right? So those are some big expenses that we have right away. We pay our insurance premiums, and then we fund our employee HRA in January, and so those are some big expenses that we see coming out. And then revenues, of course, with grant claims and things we have coming in, we just aren't seeing those yet. So we'll start to even out now as we move forward. Health and Human Services, they're right where we'd expect them to be, and they're actually one of the departments we have to look at this month. Revenues at 8% and expenses at 14%. So you can see we've got about a month worth of revenue in and about 2 months worth of expenses, which is, right on the money for them, considering that their grant claims for the month are now being submitted and haven't been received yet. So comfortable with where they're sitting. Highway Department, this report shows revenues at 14% and expenses at 9%, so revenues are a little ahead. One thing I'd like to mention here is that spent most of the month of February closing out highway, preparing for their audit. We have CLA come in the end of March and do an audit on highway for us. So we spent February getting their books closed out for that. One piece of that is closing out their depreciation for the year and making that final adjustment, and then using the amount from 25 to apply to 26, right? So we're hitting their expenses every month with that instead of making one entry at the end of the year. So now that we have that total, that actually changes their expenses, it adds about $80,000 to their expense total and puts them about 11% on expenses. So still finishing ahead, but just wanted to note that adjustment there. Questions? If not, we can move forward to CIP purchases. Not a lot of activity. We've got the brush garden winch to finish up that forestry truck. Made a deposit on the walk-in cooler and freezer combo for over at the jail, and then purchased a vehicle for sheriff. Moving forward, the first department we have to look at for this month is child support. Looking at 2025 in total, their revenues finished ahead at 113% of budget and expenses at 92%. So expenses under, revenues over, that's what we like to see. So nothing significant to note for 2025 in child support. If we move forward and look at 26, just to kind of see where we're at so far for the end of February, no revenue has come in yet, which is not uncommon, and expenses are at 15%, so just slightly ahead of, or just slightly behind what we expected, that 17% mark. So things are looking good for their department. Questions?
No, you're doing a great job.
Thanks. HHS is the other department we have to look at this month, and this report is really long. They have several little departments and pockets of money for different grants and funding and different places employees are paid out of. So I'm going to ask you to skip down to page 36 of that report, just to kind of look in total, which will show us where we're at right now for 2025. And so this shows us, with what we have so far, revenues at 108%, expenses at 111%. So this matches what we see for the year so far for them for 25. We anticipate making some kind of draw from general fund to HHS. But until we have our books finally closed out, we won't know exactly what that amount is that we're going to recommend for the transfer. They do still have a little bit of grant money coming in just because there are some things that late. So we'll still see a few more adjustments, but for the most part, their expenses and revenues for 25 are booked at this point. Moving forward to 26, through the end of February, page 29 of the report has the totals. And so this will tie back to the report that we looked at with the summary page at the beginning of our meeting here. Revenues 8%, expenses 14%. And so right where we'd expect them to be based on the activity that we see in that department.
Just a quick commentary on HHS and a few other things too. We are still closing out the books for both general fund and HHS, getting very close, like Randy mentioned. We will have recommendations for any transfers for the April meeting, and we will have some. We've got the automatic one to sales tax transferring to our assigned fund balance for that. Ambulance as well, because that is another one we do to an assigned, and then we reduce the following year's levy accordingly. And then HHS, we will make a contribution to. We're coming in better than we have in years past, but they're using up most of their fund balance this year. So we will want to give them a little bit more again. And then the final one we'll probably have is Highway. Highway did very well in 2025, best year we've had since we've been here. But we're still trying to catch up with that negative unassigned fund balance. On paper, it looks like Highway's doing great, but we've got, about 3 million in equipment fund balance? So that really inflates the number. To actually have cash, we'd have to sell everything, which then we couldn't run the department. So what we've been working on, well, since we've been here, is trying to get that unassigned balance to zero. So we should be able to do that this year with a transfer, and then things will be in really good shape moving forward.
Is a lot of the HHS money required by the state? Like, is it transfers? Is it, people ask me, why is HHS always over budget every year? And I don't know what to tell them. So I assume it's because it's like required from the transfers and mental health, but am I wrong? They're not spending frivolously, correct?
No.
Mental health, okay.
I mean, a big part of it is the out-of-county placements we have. And there are some variables there that you just can't forecast and prepare and plan for. Things come up and you have to deal with them as they come in. Nobody's spending frivolously or facetiously. They're making best use of the resources they have. When grant opportunities are available, they're taking them as long as it makes sense for us. You always have to take time to consider, does the county have to give a contribution to this? And is the contribution the county has to give worth going after that grant? Are there, specific parameters in reporting or things that we have to do that would make it something that just isn't worth attaining? But when those situations or those opportunities come in, they are taking the time to look at those and utilize those resources. So we definitely appreciate that effort.
Great. I just wanted to be transparent with that because I do get asked. So.
And along with that, what you asked is, do we have to? Yes, they are mandated services. We have school background, you're on school board. It's very similar to special education where the services you have to provide that are state mandated are under or possibly not funded at all. So then it becomes local money.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for bringing that to light.
If there are no other questions, we can move forward. January investment report. Nothing significant to note here. Interest rates are holding where they have been, falling a little under 4% there. Our CDs, obviously, those rates remain the same, and so that's helping produce some good income for us. Total interest so far, $73,516 for the year.
Great. Good job.
Just a note here, this is where we're looking good for locking in those CDs when we did, because now the rates are a full percentage over what the current money market is. So good job, too.
All right, we're on to 13. I assume this was presented by somebody for the tax levy freeze resolution. Can you explain
Yes.
how that came about?
So this is something several counties have been putting forward. We're proposing joining in. I did tailor it for Sawyer County. The bottom line is net new construction is a driving force for the revenue limit increase that we're allowed. And it's very hard to keep up with costs with that. We've typically been around 1.2, 1.4%, which has actually been good for Sawyer County compared to previous years. But in particular, when our valuation is growing so fast, we've got to overcome that as well to get any net new construction increase number. So then what this is proposing then is tying it more to a CPI with a cap of 3.5%. So that's very similar to how shared revenue has been handled the last couple of years. There was new legislation. I believe that's actually tied to the increase in sales tax revenue. So as CPI, even if spending didn't increase. If CPI increases, sales tax is gonna increase that much if people buy the same amount of merchandise. So this would kind of level the playing field. The way it's set up, it tends to penalize northern areas. We have higher valuation, we get less shared revenue. So then, while shared revenue is increasing this much, our levy limit is increasing this much, so there's a little bit of a disparity there. And throughout the state, the majority of counties are relying on the revenue limit versus shared revenue. But this would put them kind of at a level playing field across the board then.
Okay, great. Is there anyone want to make a motion to accept or deny the resolution to bring to the full board? We have a motion by Haney to bring this to the full board. Is that what you're motioning? Okay. And a second by Duffy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. At this time, I entertain a motion to go into closed session for separating finance from administration. Do I need to read this whole? Yeah, okay. Consideration of motion to convene in closed session pursuant to statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction to employ or exercise responsibility, to wit, for purpose of discussing employee performance evaluation and reconsideration of employment terms. The committee will reconvene in open session immediately following the closed session and may have discussion and take official action on matters discussed in closed session. I'll make a motion to go into closed session. Second by Haney. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, roll call vote. John Righeimer excused. Stacy Hessel.
Yes.
Mark Helwig absent. Tom Duffy. Jeff Haney. Okay, motion carried.
All right, we are in closed session. We'll call you back when we're done, if you want to come back.